Hello again. I suspect that everybody will be glad when the war in Gaza comes to an end, for it has been a terrible business. As well as the active combatants, many civilians have also died, some of them children. This is all too common in wars fought all over the world since the 1960s, that it is civilians who bear the brunt of the fighting at least as much as soldiers do. I spoke recently about what is known as asymmetric warfare, which is how many wars are fought these days. And because the forces of one side are embedded in the civilian population, there are bound to be many casualties there. It is an unfortunate fact of life that people do get killed during wars. That is in the nature of warfare. The American peace plan has been drawn up with the cooperation of various Arab countries who will help in the reconstruction of Gaza and other cities like Rafah. There is no reason at all why the Gaza Strip cannot become a Mediterranean resort like Sharm el-Sheikh or Dubai. Shortly after the Israeli withdrawal 20 years ago, construction of an international airport was begun, and that too could be a project which was restarted. Of course, all this is contingent upon the Izzadin al-Qassam brigades, the armed wing of Hamas, accepting a ceasefire and then disarming. Personally, I think they'd be well advised to do so. It would be impossible for Gaza to become prosperous and to attract tourists while Hamas had any power. After the Israelis pulled out in 2005, Gaza was for a while a thriving place, with some saying that it might become the new Beirut. Beirut, as it was, of course, before the civil war in Lebanon, at the time that it was known popularly as the Paris of the Middle East. In Gaza, there were nightclubs, restaurants, and luxury hotels, as well as theme parks. When Hamas took control, they closed them all down on religious grounds because they disapprove of men and women mixing socially and also do not like seeing people drink alcohol. With this pernicious influence curbed, it might be possible for Gaza to become a modern place, somewhere that people actually want to visit for holidays. It certainly looks a bit bleak and desolate now, but that doesn't mean a great deal. I mentioned Sharm el-Sheikh earlier, which is now a flourishing holiday destination on the Red Sea, but a few years ago there was literally nothing there. I lived in the Sinai, and I remember Sharm as it was in the 1970s. It was just sand, apart from a small army base and a radar station. That was it. Nobody lived or worked there other than that small garrison of soldiers. Just look at it now. This could easily happen to Gaza, but not as long as Hamas has any influence there. All in all, the signs are favourable now for both for an end to the war and for the future development of Gaza. I'm sure that Israel would rather live next door to a prosperous seaside resort rather than a fundamentalist theocracy always lobbing rockets at them.